So the final part of the dish, which I probably should have made first, but it's okay. I'm gonna make our lemon herb roasted chicken breast. So I've got 2 pieces of chicken breast, and they probably weigh about maybe 6 to 8 ounces each. I washed it and then I pat it dry, and I have it in a work bowl. And my herb of choice today is Herbes de Provence, which is basically a combination of like thyme, savory, rosemary, fennel, lavender, sometimes oregano. I really like it because it has a nice flavor. It adds a depth of flavor to ingredients, especially chicken. It's also good on vegetables such as squash and zucchini. And I'm gonna use some freshly cracked black pepper. I do prefer the cracked ones because I think it has more flavor. It's already open, and it releases the oils, so it's really good. And I have about I think about 4 garlic cloves. I grated it, and then I have the juice of 2 large lemons, of course, and then I have some kosher salt, and I have extra virgin olive oil. So I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of put this together, and we're gonna get this thing in the oven. I'm gonna use about this is probably about a teaspoon, so I'll do like a teaspoon and a half of the Herbes de Provence. Then I'm gonna add some freshly cracked black peppers, maybe about a half a teaspoon. Add according to your taste. I do like spicy food, and from South America. I'm gonna add in those the grated garlic clove. I'm gonna add in the juice of lemon. I'm gonna add that in, and I'm gonna measure salt out for you. So I'm gonna go with a teaspoon of salt, nothing more than a teaspoon of salt. So I'm going to add our salt in. And then to that, I'm going to add a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. And I'm going to go ahead and just work everything in and season this up really nicely. Yes, I know it's swimming in there, but I do want the juices because I want it to spring a little bit of au jus, because I'm not making a sauce for this. So whatever juice or whatever water or the au jus we get from the chicken breast, that's what I'm going to use as my my salt. So that looks really good. Looks really good. I'm gonna get my hands washed up. Okay, so I'm using a cake pan, actually a non-stick cake pan, and I just lined it with aluminum foil to make my cleanup very easy for me. I'm using a decent sized pan. You don't want anything too big, because if you use a bigger pan, your juices it's going to evaporate in the oven when it's cooking. So if the smaller the pan, you get to contain everything in there. You don't want stuff to be swimming. You want to infuse juices into your meat, and one way of doing that is using the right size pan for cooking. You can use a small Pyrex dish. I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to put that down. I trimmed most of the extra fat that was on the chicken breast, and I'm just going to go ahead and just pour that over there. Get all that in there. And that looks good. We're going to get that in the oven. I'm going to bake it for 30 to 35 minutes one is bigger than the other. Whenever I encounter this type of situation, I would keep my eye on the smaller one, because that's gonna finish cooking first before the other one. And I'm gonna pull it out, I'm gonna pull the pan out, remove the smaller chicken breast, and then let the other one finish. But I think both of these should be done in about 30 to 35 minutes. So let's go ahead, pop it in the oven, and we'll see how it goes. You also want to have a thermometer. I don't have one with me today. I've been cooking for 8 years professionally, so I kind of know how to gauge when chicken breast is done, but a thermometer would kind of really help you with knowing when it's done. Alrighty, so let's just go ahead and put it in the oven. So I'm gonna check on our chicken breast. I set a timer for 30 minutes and we have about 4 minutes left, but I have a feeling that that smaller chicken breast is finished cooking. So I'm just gonna pull it out from the oven, and guessing by just looking at it, I know it's done. So I'm just gonna take that out and put it in a plate, and then let the other one cook for maybe about 5 more minutes. All right. So I went ahead and I took the other chicken breast out of the oven, and it looks really good. I know it's done. I'm gonna let it sit. I'm gonna put the other chicken breast in the pan with this one, and I'm just gonna cover it up so that the juices can redistribute and so that it can be nice and juicy. So I've placed the other chicken breast in the pan. So we have 2 now. I'm just gonna fold it up. I'm just gonna make just like a little tent, very loosely, because I really want the juices to redistribute so that when I cut into the chicken breast, it's still tender. It doesn't have to be perfect. That is just fine. And I'm gonna set the timer for maybe about, I'm gonna give it like 7 minutes. That should be a good time. If you have more time, then you let it sit. Ideally, like 10-15 minutes is a good time. And this is the rule of thumb you want to use when you're cooking any meat. For example, like when you're making beef, turkey, a whole chicken, pork, and again, chicken breast. When you remove these items from a hot oven, they're still cooking. So you kind of want to let it sit so that the juices redistribute, so that it's really juicy when you cut into it, because the last thing you want is a rubbery, grainy type of meat. This will never fill. So Thanksgiving is coming up in a few months. When you're finished, when the turkey is done, let it sit for a long time. And you'll even do this too if you're making meatloaf. If you pull a meatloaf out of the oven and you try to cut into it right away, it tends to disintegrate. So letting meat sit so that the juices can redistribute not only adds flavor, but it also adds a tenderness to that cut of meat you're working with. So I'm gonna let it sit, and then I'm gonna come back and get it all cut up, and we'll show you how juicy it is, and I'll put a plate together. So our chicken breast has rested, and it's time for us to cut into it. Feels so tender. So I like to cut it on the bias, just like that. And this looks so tender, guys. This looks so tender. So juicy. I'm gonna cut our little baby one too. Try to cut breast on the try to cut meat, I'm sorry, on the bias, which is going against the grain. I think I might have cut that one a little wrong. So this is our chicken breast. I'm gonna go ahead and get a nice little bowl, because I want to pour the juices over the meat, but it looks really good. If you can see, that looks so good. So I'm gonna transfer our roasted chicken breast onto this onto this platter, just like that. And this is the juices that sprung the au jus. So I'm really just gonna pour the au jus over there. to make it a little bit more moist. And that is our roasted chicken breast, guys. It looks so good. Can't wait to put the whole plate together for you. I wanted to give you guys just a little bit close up of the chicken breast. It looks really tender. It does not look rubbery. And we poured eggs and we poured the juices over it. So I'm gonna go ahead and plate a meal and take a picture, and then I'll post it. Thank you guys for joining me.